Welcome to Black and Gold Weekly. I am your host, Charles Johnson, presented by BetSafe Colorado. I look, 36-14, the final score, the Buffs over Nebraska, and what used to be a big-time rivalry around here. I remember back in the Nebraska days when, the whole state would get worked up over the game, and I think that certainly was true this past weekend, but for a slightly different reason, and we'll get back to it. The Buffs now 2-0 early on in the season, and I think most people predicted that if Colorado can get to 2-1 after 3 games, or maybe even 1-2 after 3 games, en route to what would be a satisfactory 5-win season, we would take it. Now sitting pretty at 2-0. Top 20 in the country. I think the Buffs came in at number 17 this week. It really doesn't matter at this point with Colorado State coming in, a team that's struggling a little bit, but I guarantee you they'll be up for the Buffs, always have been. Kind of reminds me back in the day when we played them, I don't know, in 1988. And I know the youngsters are out there like, damn, 1988? How old are you? We played up at what was then Hughes Stadium, or even when we played here at Folsom. That's a team that's going to get after you. So we'll talk a little bit about Colorado State as well. And by the way, I'll be joined by a dear friend, former Buff, one of the all-time greats, Mackey Award winner, first-round draft pick, Daniel Graham. He'll be joining the show here momentarily. But we got to talk about this Nebraska game, and we'll get that out of the way. Nebraska came in proud and red, as they normally do. Couldn't quite take the stadium over like they have in years past. Buffs showed up and showed out. Shedeur Sanders, again, I think he's on a crash course with being in New York in early December during that Heisman Trophy ceremony. But we'll see. We'll keep our powder dry on that and allow this thing to unfold over the course of the next several weeks. But, man, I tell you what, with 2 down, this guy looks the part. He is all about not just winning, but he's a real quarterback. And over the course of this year, during this show, Black and Gold Weekly, we'll talk more about just Shedeur and what makes him such a special quarterback. But I got to give Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, his props in having this team ready. What I was most impressed with this week was how Colorado, in week 1 against Fort Worth, it was a shootout. And I think that was a pleasant surprise to many of us, particularly given what we had grown used to seeing over the past several years. It was a shootout. Colorado wins a big game on the road. We're off and running. Come back week 2 with all the hope and optimism of what could be a special season. Got off to a bit of a slow start. I said last week that the win in Fort Worth was probably the most impressive win in Colorado for the Colorado Buffaloes since I arrived on campus back in 1987. I believe that's still the case. I think the Nebraska win told us more about who this team is than did the win at TCU. And what I mean by that is, you come off a big game, and if you're me, and from the way I sort of analyzed it, I figured there would be somewhat of a letdown, maybe a bit of a slow start. And it certainly was. Colorado found a way to win a football game in a very impressive fashion, a different way. And that's what you look for in teams. If it's a shootout, some teams could win shootouts, but they can't win slugfest. Not that this game was necessarily a slugfest, but it started out uneven for the Buffs, and they got their stuff together and figured it out and ended up winning again in a runaway fashion, 36-14. So that was extremely impressive. That told me a lot about the character of this team. It also told me a lot about the command that Coach Prime has on his team. One of the most difficult things to do, especially in this day and age with social media and, all the attention you get through NIL and, with payments going to players in a legal form, is to making sure you own the attention of those players. And that's extremely impressive to see how Coach Prime was able to do that in week 2. Now, here's what's happening. Now, each week, it ratchets up. You look at this upcoming week and you look at who's in town. You have Friday, First Take, Stephen A. Smith, by the way, who was on the sideline this past weekend here in Boulder, doing his show from Folsom Field in Boulder, Colorado. You got College Game Day, ESPN's College Game Day. You got Big Noon Saturday, Fox's big college football show in town. 60 Minutes. You talk about transcending football. That's exactly what's happening here. You look at they'll be in town preparing a story on Coach Prime. Folks, to just limit these conversations around what's happening in Boulder to football would be completely missing the point. You know, I had hoped when Coach Prime was hired that it would change our fortunes. I had no idea that it would change our fortunes in the way that it has. It's bigger than football. As I mentioned, do we have DG? Is DG with us? As I mentioned, let's go ahead and bring in the first round draft pick for the New England Patriots back in, what was it, 1957? I can't remember how long ago it was, but he one of the all-time great Colorado Buffaloes, Mackey Award winner, best tight end in the country. As I mentioned, first-round pick for New England. I think he finished career here as a Denver Bronco in his hometown, but again, just an all-time great. DG, thank you for joining me today, man. And wait a minute, I don't see him now. All I see is a black screen. Oh, okay, there we go. And listen, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you.
Hey, by the way, I appreciate you getting that light right because, that could be some trouble. By the way, I know Chloe probably had to call in the night game stadium lights to get you right up for the show. I appreciate
I called. Hey, man, I appreciate it. I called in the crew that got me right.
Hey, Daniel, first of all, man, look, and we'll talk about a number of things, but I got to start with just your impression. You've been a guy that supported this program, obviously, as a All-American here at CU, but you've supported this program during your professional playing years, post-professional playing years. You're at the games. You've been part of Buffs for Life. You've just been Mr. CU. Tell me about just your thoughts of where the program is now.
You know, the excitement started back when Rick George hired Coach Prime. I mean, you know, the excitement of what we knew he could bring to this team. And, I mean, it's been, 6-7 months now that, you know, we've been waiting for this moment here. We can't even forget how electrifying the spring game was, you know, and what the impact Coach Prime has done to this university, the city of Boulder, since, you know, he got here. And now to finally see some football games and see what he has put together with this football team, everybody here, man, it is such an exciting time right now to be a Colorado Buffalo.
Is it hard to kind of believe? Think about where we were this time last year. And this isn't to put anybody down. It was just, the reality is it was a completely different world. Think about where we are and what the conversation was a year ago today as it relates to CU. I mean, I think this is unprecedented in not just in CU history, but in the history of college football for something to get flipped so quickly. And we're not just talking about wins or losses. I think that's the easy part. I'm talking about the attention that the program is getting. I mean, how do you explain it?
You know, this is something that's just hard to explain, you know, all this excitement now. I can tell you, I was not a believer when the rumor was going around that Coach Prime was coming to Colorado. And now that he's here, man, I mean, he is making believers of everybody, everyone who has doubted him, you know, especially those who don't wear the black and gold, who aren't from, you know, who just don't have the love, like the love we have for CU. And, you know, I just, you know, I mean, like everybody else, TJ, I'm sure you are too. I mean, we're getting calls from across the nation. I'm getting calls from teammates who I play with, you know, in Denver, who were saying they got on their black and gold like they went to Colorado. I mean, everybody's excited. And, you know, the one thing that I'm so happy about is that this is at our university that this is happening at.
And I mean, it's just special. And, you know, to that note, and when I say this isn't just about football, Daniel, you were down there. We were on the sideline before the Nebraska game. And, you know, on a typical game day Saturday, you used to seeing some of the old alum, Cordell Stewart, obviously yourself, Michael Westbrook, a number of other guys who are in town for the game. And then you look around a little bit more and you see the likes of Michael Irvin, the Hall of Fame receiver, and Terrell Owens, and some of the football greats of years past. To some degree, that's explainable as well, right? Because Deion played with these guys, he has relationships with these guys, and so they're supporting him. That's another level. But then you continue to look around, and for you hip hop lovers out there, you see the Wu-Tang Clan, who your brother Josh had something to do with bringing up to Boulder. They wanted to come see the game. You see movie stars like Ghost, the guy who plays his character is Ghost on the television show Power, and Nigel Thatcher, who plays Malcolm X in The Godfather of Harlem. I mean, you look around and it feels like it's you're at a Lakers game or a New York Knicks game with all the celebrity presence.
And that's what it feels like. And we sit around and wait. Okay, who's going to be here at the next game? Who's going? I could imagine who's going to show up for the SC game. But it's nice to see all these celebrities jumping on board and supporting Coach Prime, supporting the black and gold, wearing the CU gear, and so. Like I'm saying, our brand is a nationwide brand now. I mean, everyone is talking about it, and it's so exciting.
DG, on that note, if you let's play as if you were hosting the party at USC, and we'll get back to Colorado State because that's the next one on hand. Our next home game, however, after Colorado State is USC, and you're in charge of the guest list. And everyone is looking for a ticket to come to be a part of this party. Who are the 4 or 5 celebs that Daniel Graham would say, you all get VIP passes to come hang out with Coach Prime, DG, and the Colorado Buffaloes? Who's on your wish list?
Oh, man, I tell you, and I got four picks.
You got 4 picks.
My first pick, I'm going to have to go with 2 of my favorite rap artists. That'll have to be Nas and Jadakiss.
Okay.
Now
I know. Listen, I know Chloe's your beautiful wife is probably near, so you probably don't want to say which female movie stars you. But go ahead, man. You get a pass.
Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and bring Rihanna with me.
Okay.
And I will go with that 4th one. I'm gonna go with Shania Lathan.
Ooh, okay, all right. Shania Lathan, no Beyonce.
Nah.
Could Jay-Z or Beyonce? One of the two got to get an invite. DG.
Well, I mean, they're on your guesses. This was mine, wasn't it?
Oh, forgive me. You're absolutely right. Hey, let's get back to football here, man. You shared a story with me today about something that took place during the Georgia game. That is another indication of what we're talking about as we try to articulate how big the brand CU football has become nationwide. Kind of recall that story for us.
It's unbelievable, the story that Cedric Cormier told me, one of my teammates here at University of Colorado. He now coaches at Ball State University, and they played at the University of Georgia last week. And he told me that during the timeout, they put the CU game on the big screen. And this was like 2 or 3 times they did it. And he told me that the Georgia team is looking, his team was looking at the big screen, watching the game. And when they cut the game off, the fans were booing because they wanted to keep the game off. I couldn't believe it. And I called and asked someone else who I know went to the game, and he confirmed it.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah,
it's crazy, man. And again, the good fortunes for CU is bigger than just football. I was at the barbershop today, and by the way, clearly you haven't taken me up on my offer to go visit my barber. You straight, but my man Delon over at Precision Cuts is the best in the business. You'll take me up on that offer at some point. I like the beard though. Got to give you love on the beard. Man. Yeah, I like the beard. But call my barber. I was at the shop today, and the conversation is in the shop is just completely different. It wasn't the Broncos. It wasn't the U.S. Open. It wasn't hip hop culture or all the normal sort of, religion and what happened at church and, who was shaking too hard, when they got the Holy Spirit or whatever. It was none of that. It was the University of Colorado football. Everyone is a resident expert on CU football now and is trying to get up to a game. I know you've shared stories with me about much the same. Everyone's calling DG for a ticket.
Everyone is, and I got to turn down a lot of people and stuff. And CJ, I'm one of these Colorado Buffaloes who never took off my CU gear, but it is so much. It's so exciting now to even wear your gear through the airport. I went to Boston after the game on Saturday to go celebrate the retirement of Tom Brady and stuff, and through the airport, everybody's asking me, or everyone's saying, "Go Buffs! How about them Buffaloes?" My old teammates up in New England are talking about the Buffaloes. I mean, it's everywhere. It's nonstop, and like you said earlier on your podcast show, for big noon, to stay here. The first time ever that they've never called a game where they're hosting the big noon is crazy. Game day to be here the same week. Stephen A. Smith to have his show on Friday here. I mean, this is unheard of, and it is just a wild, crazy, exciting time, to be a Colorado Buffalo, to be a fan of the Buffs.
And then we'll just break topic for a quick second here because you just mentioned something, you slipped it in, but I'd love for you to expand upon it just a little bit. You mentioned, and I already told the audience, your first round pick for New England Patriots, I think 21st overall back in 2002. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And, Tom Brady, your teammate, you were obviously an invited guest back for the ceremony this past weekend where Tom was honored. Talk about that moment. I know that was a special moment for you, DG.
It was a big special moment. Just going back, seeing a lot of my old teammates I played with. I haven't seen a lot of them since 2007. And just to come back and honor Tom Brady for the accomplishments that he has made. Just turning New England to a powerhouse for 20 years and stuff. But it was a good time, and I had to hurry up and jump back on that flight Monday morning and get back for the Bus for Life golf tournament. If it's anything CU, I'm going to be be there.
How'd that tournament? How'd you do in that tournament, man? And who was the best player in your group?
Well, I tell you what, we're supposed to have a foursome. It ended up being two of us playing golf and stuff. Charles, you were in my group, and you somehow, you never came back. I don't know if you got lost or you just went to the bar, but we ended up doing better without you.
Oh, wow. I had to get Hannibal Navies to the airport. You know that, man. Just tell the whole story.
Hey, and your contract is not renewed for next year. You're not on my team next year.
Hey, man, let's get to Colorado State, man, because this is going nowhere. Let's get to CSU. During your time, did you guys play CSU?
Yeah, we played CSU. So I want to say the last time that CSU was in Boulder was my freshman year. And I believe the year after that is when we started going down to Mile High for the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Now, what was your record against CSU, DG?
I don't know, man. I know that was the first time we lost to CSU in over a number of years. It was a bad loss for us.
So you lost to CSU?
Yeah, but I also beat Nebraska.
Oh, I mean, that's fair. But the question was, you did lose to CSU?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Was that Bradley Van Pelt? Was that Bradley Van Pelt's time?
You know what? I think it was. I can't remember who the quarterback was.
Okay. All right. Well,
they had Pete Rebstock there. That's the only one I remember because I'm friends with Pete.
Okay. Hey, now, look, CU's going to come into this game a big favorite. And probably, obviously, I think the first game this year in which they were a favor. I know, actually, I think they probably were, as it turned out, a favorite against Nebraska. But they'll be a sizable favorite against CSU. This game has always been tricky for me because it doesn't necessarily matter, at least it's been my experience, how good the teams were, because you're going to get your best punch from CSU. And I guarantee you that those young men up at CSU right now are looking at what's happening up in Boulder, and they want a piece of this. They know they'll be on national television. They know that the reason they'll be on national television is because what's happening up in Boulder. Your thoughts on this game, and is there a cautionary tale? Is there something that you would share if you were talking to the team this week about this game and not letting your guard down?
Well, you always hear about, this being a trap game and stuff. And, the head coach up at CSU was just telling them there's no respect for the Rams up in Colorado, across the nation. And, he's probably telling their team that, they can really spoil the fun that's going on, across the nation and here at CU. And so, but you already know Coach Prime has these guys focused on this week. It's all about the next game and who's right here in front of you. And they're not going to take CSU for granted. They're going to prepare, as if, it's a national championship game. And they'll be ready, with all the coaches, the great coaching staff that they have. They're going to have these guys ready to play CSU and, to put out a great performance. Like Coach Prime has been saying, they're yet to play their best game. And so this is a great opportunity this week to show everything, work on this run game, get everything going, for the, all three phases of the unit to get it all going.
No doubt. DG, my guest again, Daniel Graham, first round pick, New England Patriots, All-American CU Mackey Award. By the way, I think, we have Thorpe Award winners, of course, the late, great Rashaan Salam Heisman Trophy Award winner. I think we've had Ray Guy Award winners. I think every award that they give out on a national basis, we've had someone win it. But I got to tell you, man, that the Mackey Award, it is the ugliest trophy I think I've ever seen. I mean, the guys, I think, is that the one that the guy just looked real stupid, just like this?
No. He's not looking like that. That's
not
John
how he
Mackey.
looked.
That's John Mackey running over someone about your size.
Now, DG, everyone knows you as a great football player. You Thomas Jefferson High School right here in Denver. Your twin brother, Josh, your dad played for the Denver Broncos. There's so many storylines to your history. Everyone knows you as a great guy. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about you. Never mind, but not many, if any. But what folks don't know is you pay attention to the numbers, and you shared some numbers with me about the audience, the television audience, the viewership of CU football this past weekend. Share with the audience what you know about, again, the impact and the interest across this nation that folks have in the University of Colorado.
And I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen it, but just the fact that we were more people watched this game more than the Alabama and Texas game. This is just letting you know about.
Hold on, I got to stop. Say that again. More people what?
More people watched the Colorado Nebraska game than they did Alabama Texas, which is just crazy thinking about that. But it just lets you know the excitement, and everyone wanted to watch and see what's next for the Buffaloes. And it's, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the viewership will be this Saturday, because it's a late game on the East Coast. And so how many people will stay up, to watch this game and, to see what the Buffaloes are going to do next?
That's a great question, but I'm still stuck on more people watch CU Nebraska, a 1-11 CU program from a year ago, and a Nebraska program that's been flat or down over the past several years as well. More people watch that game, think about this, folks, than they did Alabama, Texas, 2 top 10 schools, probably 2 top 5 schools this week. And the most of the interest was in what the University of Colorado was doing. That is fascinating. DG, Colorado State this weekend. Give me a number, man. What's the outcome going to look like?
I'm going to go CU 35, Colorado State 10.
Okay. All right. CU 35, Colorado State 10. I like it. I like it. And, if you all don't know, Daniel and I, we kind of share space during the game. He's the hardest person to watch a game with. He kind of just gets on your nerves because he never stops chirping. He's always moving around. He's nervous. But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless, man.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it, man. It's going to be fun. Saturday night. This is going to be a fun night for us.
Hey, man, call my barber, bro. Get that thing shaped up a little bit. I like it, though. Hold on. Before we go, you played Santa Claus. You were Santa Claus this past Christmas, weren't you?
Yes, I was. It was the first year. That's why I grew it out. I'm Santa Claus.
But you had some kids at the mall who were a little confused, right? I think that's what you told me.
No, I didn't go to the mall. I didn't tell you that. You know what? And see, I wasn't going to charge your grandkids, but now they're getting charged.
You going to charge my kids to come get a gift? You going to charge them for their gift?
Yeah, only yours.
Every nice thing I've ever said about you, man, I take it back. DG, love you, man. Thanks for joining the show.
Hey, appreciate
look,
it.
Again, this is Black and Gold Weekly presented by BetSafe Colorado. Looking forward to this weekend. I can't wait to come back next Wednesday and report to you all the happenings up in Boulder. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll do it next week.